But the world is busy with a crisis at hand in the Red Sea, where missile attacks continue unabated. The latest came today, in fact. The Houthis fired several missiles. They targeted U.S. ships. The Americans managed to fend off the strikes. But the big picture does not look good. These attacks are bleeding economies, among them India. Indian exports are getting delayed. Shipments are being held up and traders are taking losses. Tonight, we'll focus on how this crisis is directly hurting India. You see, India is heavily reliant on the Red Sea. This trade route is used to reach 4 regions: Europe, North America, North Africa, and West Asia. Goods worth billions of dollars are supplied through this route. Exports from India through the Red Sea are valued at 18 trillion rupees. Exports, 18 trillion rupees, that's around 217 billion US dollars. And then there are imports. India imports from these regions too. The imports are worth 17 trillion rupees, that's 205 billion US dollars. Now, all of this trade has been hit, mostly because of the delays. The time taken to move the goods from one place to another has increased substantially. Shipments are delayed by almost a month, anywhere between 21 to 28 days. That's the delay. And the reasons remain the same. Ships are avoiding the Red Sea route. Instead of going via the Suez Canal, they're being redirected to the southern tip of Africa, going around the Cape of Good Hope, which adds another 6,500 kilometers to the journey, 6,500 kilometers, and at least 2 extra weeks of sailing time. Some ships have been held back as well. In fact, we have a breakup. When the Red Sea crisis began, 25% of India's outbound shipments were held back. Outbound shipments are exports sent directly through warehouses. These goods have not left India at all. And that's because exporters have not been able to find ships to take them. And those who could find ships had to take the longer route. About 95% of cargo ships from India have taken this Africa route, the longer route. And they'll continue to do so in the foreseeable future because there is no resolution in sight. India is doing its bit to mitigate the crisis. The Indian Navy is on the job. They've been manning the waters in and around the Red Sea. They've been securing vital routes. They've been rescuing sailors under threat. In the Indian Ocean alone, the Navy has conducted at least 9 operations in recent days. They've rescued commercial ships. But despite India's strong presence and defenses, the shipments have not stabilized. Experts are projecting losses in the last financial year. In fact, India exported goods worth $451 billion overall in the last year, $451 billion, out of which exports worth more than $30 billion could be impacted because of the Red Sea crisis. That's almost 7% of India's exports. And this is just an estimate. We are waiting for the latest trade numbers from the government. They will show the true extent of the damage. What is clear is the fact that a prolonged disruption will hurt India and its economic growth. That's also the conclusion of ratings agency Fitch. They have raised a red flag. Let me quote from the Fitch report. This is what it says. If Red Sea disruptions were to persist, the resulting downward revisions to our India forecast will probably be significant and would dent our 4% growth forecast for Asia in 2024. So they will have to revise the growth forecasts downwards. And this is not just for India. Fitch says countries like Bangladesh are vulnerable too. In fact, the entire region is at risk. But being the bigger economy, India is likely to suffer a more significant impact. The Red Sea crisis is not just a security challenge for New Delhi. It will also test the resilience of the Indian economy. Tomorrow, India's finance minister will present an interim budget. We're waiting to see if there is any measure or there are any recommendations to address this crisis.